There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong, and I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see you again.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gin College Podcast. I'm your host, John J. II. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the eve of March Madness. The NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament embarks tomorrow on a brand new journey and a brand new year. And I call this the Christmas season of the sports world, just because it's such an important time of year. There's so much going on. There's so much emotion that is surrounding the sports world, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling poised. Just another year forward, and another year of hope. to believe in the Michigan State Spartans to go forth and win and repeat what they did in the year 2000, the year of our Lord, to repeat greatness. And as you can see, I'm feeling it. I'm poised. I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm in the mood for something great. And I'm happy to share it here with you guys tonight. So if you haven't done so already, this kind of goes without saying. There's a couple brackets that we have going out as we speak. We got the Jacob Smith bracket on Facebook. If you haven't got involved with that, that's a bracket for a great cause. Make sure to get involved and take part in that immediately. Go to my Facebook profile and you will find that there, and get involved. You still have time. Okay, you still have time. There's plenty of time to get involved. But time is fleeting from you. Time is moving quickly. Time is constantly fleeting. And as long as that's recognized, as long as that's realized, you will be in good shape. So do what you got to do to make it happen. But basically, it's a great time of year, and I don't really have to say much about it. We're going to go over some of the tournament championships in their respected conferences, and we're going to talk about those in brief depth. But as you can see the timer on my screen, that is the timer going down, counting down to the first game, the first matchup tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. on the 19th of March, 2026. So we're going to go over some matchups. We're going to talk about some matchups that we are looking forward to. And it's going to be exciting stuff. So if you haven't done the bracket yet, make sure to get in there, check out the bracket, dive into the matchups. We're going to go into depth with the bracket here in a little bit. We're going to do a bracket of our own. And I'm going to explain the current bracket that I have. I only have one bracket as it stands currently because I don't want to complicate things. I don't want to get things all muddled up in the waters. I don't want to confuse anybody. So we're going to go over the championships, talk about some of the matchups, and maybe some possible upsets. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody's able to really detect those matchups pre-tournament, but we're going to do our best to do so and create somewhat of a crystal ball moment in the pre-tournament phase. So just before we get started, I want to thank everybody that participated in all the bracket challenges that have been proposed by GSN and by myself on my personal profiles. It's a great help to do that, and it's a great work of service, especially for the ones for a great cause, which we do a lot of that type of thing over here at GSN. We're happy to do it. We're happy to put forth the time and the effort to do things for a great cause because it's for a greater good, and that's what we look to achieve as a community, as a people, as a group. It's all exciting stuff. So first off, we got to look at the Big East tournament final. Just looking at the final there between the UConn Huskies and the St. John's Red Storm. Now, spoiler alert, I actually have the UConn Huskies winning it all in my first bracket. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it's been done before. Dan Hurley knows what he's doing at the coaching spot. I like the way he coaches. Some people say he's a little bit of a dickhead. I really don't care about that. I care about results. I care about what happens on the floor. And that's exactly what happened in this matchup between the St. John's Red Storm. Everybody knows Rick Pitino. They know what he's all about. They know about the scandals. They know about the great times, the great years that he had with the Louisville Cardinals. And it was an amazing performance. To look at this game and to see the finish, 52-72. I mean, you're talking about a previous champion, a juggernaut, a phenom in the college basketball landscape to get blown out in a final by 20 points. That is impressive stuff. Okay, now you got the St. John's Red Storm sitting at 28-6, 18-2 in the Big East, with the UConn Huskies now being 17-3 in the Big East. Nobody gives a shit about records at this point in the season. Nobody cares about that. All that is out the window, especially now, even more so than in the tournament championships. Now records are really out the window. They're gone. So nobody really cares about it. So Zubi Ejiofor, 7 for 11, 2 for 2 from the line, 18 points, 9 rebounds, really dominating the floor. His face was filled with tears as he left the floor, especially in a big win in a big fashion. And people were proud of him. So the St. John's Red Storm, I mean, if they can beat the UConn Huskies, now granted, teams change, personnel change year after year. Forget about it. Forget about all that for a second. This team in Rick Pitino and the St. John's Red Storm, maybe they're not a big deal. Maybe they're making a name for themselves. Maybe they're becoming somewhat of a household name, or they're trying to. But we're seeing that take place. We're seeing that materialize. And they're going to look to do that as they rise to the top of the Big East. They're looking to make a splash in the Big Dance as well. So that can't be forgotten about. We're going to go back to the timer here in a little bit, but we're going to step away from it for now. Once we get back into the brackets, we'll maybe toss it back up there. Maybe we won't. But it's a nice touch. So the St. John's Red Storm doing what they got to do to win the Big East and to make a splash in the Big Dance, which they are sure to do. All right. We got to look at the Big 12 final now between the Houston Cougars and the Arizona Wildcats. Big win for the Arizona Wildcats, rebounding after a couple tough losses earlier in the month and at the end of February, actually. They had to rebound. They had to figure it out. They had to get it done. And that's kind of what it's all about at this point in the season. We talk about mentalities. We talk about mindsets at this point in the season. And really what it comes down to is how much are you as a team going to be able to fix things that are wrong, first of all. And this might be, the coaching staff has to figure this one out more than the players. Players got to do it. They got to replicate the coaching on the floor. They got to actually do the thing. But how much does it affect a team's psyche to have to play catch-up? Late February, going into March, you're really playing catch-up at this point in the season. You don't want to be playing this kind of catch-up. I bitch and moan about it when it comes to Michigan State basketball. Talk about it every single year. I feel like a broken record when I'm talking about it because I feel like it's year after year I'm talking about this stuff. And it comes down to what is the issue? What is holding us back to either hitting those roadblocks earlier and then playing catch-up game by game after that? Or maybe it's the middle of the season. You'd like it to be earlier than later. Maybe middle of the season, you got enough games left in the regular season. Or the worst case, but possibly best case scenario is towards the end of the regular season. Not quite towards the end. You got a couple games left, maybe a handful of games left, where you can fix some things and get some things corrected. But it's not too late where you're going into the conference championship not knowing what the hell you're doing when you step on the hardwood. So I think it was the Arizona Wildcats. They just squeaked in and they figured things out. Okay, they figured things out. Braden Burries is leading this team, doing a great job. Same as Koa Pete. And also the guy from Eastern Europe, Ivan. Okay, putting in some big minutes. And doing what he has to do to serve his purpose on this Arizona Wildcats team. And they beat a great Houston Cougars team. Maybe not as good as they've been in years past, but they're looking solid. They're looking good. And they're still going to be a threat. So it's these middle-of-the-pack teams. It's going to be the middle-of-the-pack seeds. We've talked about this in weeks past, where it's going to be the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s that you really got to watch for, because those are the ones that are hunting down the 2s and the 1s more or less. Okay, let's say 3 to 5, all the way up to 9, I'd say. And then the ones that are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, those are the ones that are they're writing the Cinderella stories. They're the ones that are saying, this is what we're going to go out and do. This is what we're setting out to do. This is what our purpose is in this tournament. And this is what we're aiming to do as a university, as a team. We're just happy to be here, basically. If you remember going back a couple of years now, we picked the NC State Wolfpack to win it all, and we made it to the Final Four in surprising fashion. A lot of people saw me pick the NC State Wolfpack, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" And we watched them last night play against Texas in the play-in. And former Michigan State Spartan Trey Holloman was playing, and he almost lost the game for him. He had a chance to make it really a game for the NC State Wolfpack, but the Texas Longhorns came up clutch and made it to the tournament with the play-in dub against the NC State Wolfpack. So big win for the Texas Longhorns. But to pick a seed that is 9 or above or lower, okay, lower number goes up. It's not impossible to make a deep run. That's the beautiful thing about Cinderella stories. That's the beautiful thing about March Madness as a whole, is anybody can go out and win the game on any given night, any given day. There's games all of the time. Starting tomorrow, going into the weekend, it's going to be a slew of games, nonstop college basketball from ding to dong, and that's what excites us the most. For those of you that are sports bettors, which we have a lot of sports betting degenerates in our community, be careful. Be careful in March Madness because it's crazy enough as it is. If you're going to do it, pick long shots. Try to pick the upsets because there's going to be upsets tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. It's identifying and isolating those upsets and making sure they don't bust your bracket in the first round. Because if they do that, you could be in for a hurting and you could be in for a bruising in the early stages. So just going back to the Big 12, Arizona, they bounced back. They figured it out. They got their star players. They're mostly healthy, and they're feeling good. They're feeling good going into the big dance. They're not counting on their bench as much as they should, okay? But they have bench players that can serve a role and serve a purpose on the floor, and that's what they're looking to benefit from, is those players that they can put in and play a role, do what they got to do to get the ball in the hole for the team. And that's really the name of the game when it comes to basketball. It seems easier said than done. I know a lot of us like to be glorified coaches from the sidelines or from our couches, coaches from our couches. And I talk to people all the time, talk to people every day. And it's easy. It's easy to do. And I can definitely replicate this when I'm talking about officiating, talking about reffing the game of basketball, because I'll talk to people that aren't refs, that don't wear the stripes. And these people know who I'm talking about. And I've got piston matches with very close friends of mine. People that have been on the show, actually. And it's been a good... It's been a good time. Let's just say that. It's been a good time having those pissing matches because you know what that does? It's practice for me dealing with coaches. It's practice for me dealing with players. It's practice for me dealing with parents in the stands that are disgruntled about a call or how the game's going. Okay, these things happen. These things happen more than you would think. So basically, it's me trying to explain myself the best of my ability to say, hey, until you put the stripes on and you're in the heat of the moment, you're basically in the shit. If you're in the shit, then that's the only way for you to really see it from a referee's lens. And it's not easy to do. Not as I call it a lay person. When you're talking about a lay spectator in the game of basketball, and I'm just as guilty of it. I wear the stripes, but when I'm watching a college basketball game, I feel like I see the game a lot clearer than maybe meets the eye, or maybe I think I have a better angle. You have 90 different angles in the gym from camera angles. You got the reviewing process, which is, you can argue it's helped the game, but it's also hindered the flow of the game, no matter what sport we're talking about. So we think we have a great perspective. When meanwhile, the official in the identified spot more times than not has the best view or should have the best view to make the call in any given situation. Now, these things are easier said than done, and it's not always the case that these things play out this way. But moral of the story is wear the stripes and then we'll have a conversation. Most people won't. Most people never will. And no offense to those people, but nobody has the interest to do so. And I guess I don't blame them, because it's not like it's an easy task. And there's a reason there's a shortage of officials in the state of Michigan, and I think everywhere, just because of how they're treated and what they have to deal with game in and game out. But you can't worry about that stuff as an official. You got to be hard-nosed and hard-skinned, because it's tough out there. But it's easy for us to play the role of a coach from the couch, or a referee from the couch, because we think we have the perfect perspective. We think we have all the answers because everything is slowed down from our perspective. I know this is firsthand when watching Michigan State. I think I know everything. I think I know everything there is to be known about Michigan State basketball. And the reality is, that's not the case. That is not the case. So for me to think that, I'm wrong. But I think it anyways, because at the same time, I think I'm right. And I'm going to do that. And when I'm pissed off and I see things that should be fixed, that should be easy fixes that aren't fixed, I begin to get agitated. I think I have that right. I'm going to stand by that. We're gonna stand on some business here with Michigan State here in a second. But let's move forward with the conference championships. So, looking at the ACC championship, the Duke Blue Devils and the Virginia Cavaliers, Duke should have lost that game. Okay, Duke should have lost that game and essentially been dethroned at the one spot in the AP polls. Now, whether they would have lost the 1 seed, I don't think they would have, regardless. But it's one of those things where you should lose the game. You don't lose the game. You win the game. You squeak out. Jon Scheyer's jumping up and down. Now, him as a coach, I do respect him as a coach, because he's replicated the Duke Blue Devils mantra very well. He's taken over and became a great replacement for a basically irreplaceable coach in Coach K. And to hold the same torch that was held by Coach K for so many years is a sight to be seen. And to see it be done in such fashion is also a sight to be seen. To cut down the nets, you got the Boozer brothers there with their dad in the stands cutting down the nets. That's a good sign if you're a Duke Blue Devils fan. Now, I'm not. Most people that I know, whether you're a Michigan fan or Michigan State fan, you're usually not a big Duke Blue Devils fan. Doesn't really correlate, doesn't translate, and it's not compatible with your fandom towards college basketball. It's just how it is. Just how it is. I don't make the rules. Okay, but looking at the points, looking at the box score, Isaiah Evans with 20 points, doing what he has to do to lead this team into greatness, putting 29 minutes up, 20 points, 6 for 14 from the field, going 50% from three, and making all his shots from the stripe. Now this is the stat sheet that really, this in and of itself should have been the reason the Duke Blue Devils lost this game, and that is because Cameron Boozer went 3 for 17 from the field. Now, I thought that was a typo. It might have been a smudge on the stat sheet. No, that was correct. I double cross-referenced it to be accurate. 3 for 17 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. Still put up 13 points in 35 minutes. Okay, Caden Boozer, on the other hand, 16 points, 40 minutes. 6 for 12 from the field. Really not that much better. He made the 1-3, 3 for 4 from the stripe. But these guys got to buckle down. These guys are the face of this team. If they want to make a splash and they don't want to get bounced first round, they're going to have to make a splash and make sure they do it where it can be seen on the stat sheet. Because, and really it wasn't just the Caden and Cameron Boozer brother duo is why they lost this game. As a team, they're leaning too hard on players like Isaiah Evans to fill in the missing pieces, the missing links. And this Virginia Cavaliers team, don't sleep on them, because I've called them almost every single year. I've called them frauds. I've called them fake. I've called them a team that really shouldn't be in the tournament, maybe NIT caliber. But they've always made it. Sometimes they make it in as a 1 seed. Sometimes they make it in as a 2 seed, 3, 4, 5 seed. But usually they're always up there, or they were up there going back 5 years, 10 years. And they've always been a staple of a name. Looking at them now, I mean, they're a solid team. They're going to be a threat. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I like what I see from the Virginia Cavaliers. So don't sleep on this team. Okay, moving on to the Big Ten. Now, Michigan State fans, don't get up on your high horse. You have nothing to be proud about. You have nothing to be happy about. You have nothing to be gloating about. Just don't speak. I'll speak for you because there's really not much to be said if you're a Michigan State fan. But just looking at the raw numbers in this final between the Purdue Boilermakers and the Michigan Wolverines, Purdue finally did it. They finally got it done. I know Purdue is probably arguably, behind Michigan and Ohio State, the most hated team in the Big Ten. And that's coming from a Michigan State fan, a Michigan State alum, Michigan State graduate. Okay? But that's just the way it is. That's not going to change. But you can't sleep on the fact that this team plays as a team. Okay, you're looking at the points. Trey Kaufman-Renn, 20 points, 28 minutes. Oscar Clough, 21 points, 25 minutes. Braden Smith, 14 points, 38 minutes. Fletcher Lawyer, 14 points, 33 minutes. So these guys play as a team. They play as a unit. And that's why they won the game in the final against the Michigan Wolverines. Okay, if you lean too much on a certain player or a certain group of players, you're not going to get it done. You're not going to get it done, period. Okay, you got to make your free throws. You got to get as close to 50% from 3 as possible. As possible, you have to. And be 50% or higher from the field. And over 50, well over 50 from free throws. Okay, and then last but not least, yes, rebounds are important, but limit turnovers. You look at the turnovers. 2 turnovers for Purdue compared to Michigan's 7. Okay? Rebounds, pretty much the same. Free throw percentage, pretty much the same. 3-point percentage, pretty much the same. Field goal percentage, 53 to Michigan's 47. Now, really, looking at the stat sheet, you can't split these two teams apart. It's an 8-point game. You would never guess that by looking at the raw stats. But that's why the raw stats don't always tell you the whole picture. You got to think about the intangibles. The intangibles in March are probably the most important thing about the game of basketball in this month and going into April. It's the most important thing, the most important facet. And it's hard to really quantify it because you can't see it on a stat sheet. That's just the reality of it. So because you can't see it on a stat sheet, it's hard to split these two teams apart and really piecemeal these games into a statistical analysis that's effective, because really you can't effectively split any of these games apart statistically. Just can't do it. It's not realistic. It's not doable. So when you're considering the bracket, when you're considering everything that is in front of you, how do you pick the upsets? How do you pick the teams that are going to go deep? How do you pick the, really high seeds that are going to get bounced early, or the ones that are going to go deep? Like we mentioned, how do you pick? How do you pick? You go back to your roots. You go back to what teams did they beat? What teams did they lose to? Okay, you're looking at a team like the St. John's Red Storm that we talked about at the beginning. They're playing great against a UConn team that really should have rolled them. Okay, regardless, stats or not. It doesn't happen. Okay? Let's just get this over with because we got to talk about it. The Michigan State Spartans playing the UCLA Bruins. Okay, that game was over as soon as it started. Now you see Cohen Carr make a big dunk. You see Fears making couple good shots early. You see Trey Fort come in there and do his thing. This game was over within 5 minutes of the first half. Okay, Tyler Bilodeau leaves the floor with an injury. You think, oh my God, this is gonna be a roll show. Tell you what, those days off that Michigan State had since they played Michigan and got beat by Michigan in their final regular season game, they didn't help them. It hurt them. Hurt them more than you could even imagine. Okay, days off for the Michigan State Spartans is the worst thing for them. It's worse than a catastrophic injury to your star point guard or to your big man. Okay, to your star player. Okay, we're not singling anybody out here. We don't need any bad juju. We're talking about the eve of the first round. Okay, don't play with me like that. Okay, so looking at the stat sheet, you can look at the stat sheets all you want. Okay, you could say and argue that UCLA went crazy and tore the rim up from the three-point line, but the truth of the matter is they both went 48% from three. They're both within 2% differential from free throws. Okay, you got 8 turnovers compared to State's 12. State actually out-rebounded UCLA, but you look at that percent of the game led, 83% to 7% by Michigan State. Now, that kind of proves the point that I stated earlier, and that is they weren't up at all. They were up a little bit at the beginning of the game. Things looked really good for them. Things looked like they were going to go Michigan State's way. But this is what happened, and I've seen it happen so many times with this team. They get up on their high horse. They get all high and mighty, and you know what I almost wish would happen in that moment is Izzo calls the timeout, brings him in, maybe chews some ass out a little bit, takes Cooper aside, chews his ass out, takes Cohen Carr aside, brings him back to base. Maybe give some shit talk to Jeremy Fears. It wouldn't hurt. Okay, and bring the guys together and say, hey, I don't care if we're up 50 points, but we got to play our game. We got to get the job done, and the job ain't finished. And I'm hoping he's having these conversations. These are the things that are par for the course for Izzo to be doing. And if he's not doing them, then he's falling short. Period. End of story. We have to see this mentality from Izzo and from the coaching staff. I have to see it emulated on the floor. They really shouldn't need Izzo to do it. But the thing is, they get so high and mighty, and they think they're the best thing that ever happened to college basketball, when really they're not. They're really not shit. Nobody can claim that they've done anything. Okay, now you can look at the run they made last year and see what happened and how they fell apart. And they had great promise and high promise going into the postseason last year. You can say the same thing about the year before. Listen, the reality of the matter is, even if you've won a couple Big Ten championships, the reality of the matter is nothing's happened majorly, and you got to measure it in natties. Nothing's happened since 2000. That's what they've been chasing ever since Izzo, and the Izzo era has got a taste of that. They tasted blood in the water, and really they probably forgot what it tastes like because they haven't tasted it since. That's a concern for me, and to see a team like this get up on their high horse and then basically lose to a team that's 23-10, that's concerning to me. They're 13-7 in the Big Ten. Okay, this shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. Now, I'm not saying UCLA is a bad team. They've lost to State before this season. Mick Cronin had to take some players aside and take some disciplinary action against these players. And I think that was warranted. Mick Cronin's a good coach. One of the few coaches that still wears a suit to the game. I think that's a lost art. Izzo used to do it. He doesn't do it anymore. That might be part of the problem. But we got to see some more Pat Riley back in college basketball, because I think college basketball has lost that in a big way in the modern era. And that's a shame. It's a shame. I hate to see it. I hate to watch it happen. I hate to watch it unfold. But that's where we're at. So what does Michigan State have to do? They got to lick their wounds and look at the task at hand, which is North Dakota State. So you got to look at the positives, okay? Look at the positives. Look at the bright side. Because what else can you do? You got to look at the bright side. So tomorrow, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will face the North Dakota State Bison in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Now, I'm going to be watching this game very closely with binoculars. And the reason is they have to figure it out. And I want to see if these kinks have been ironed out, because if they haven't, then I don't care if you win or lose the game. You're basically done. Now, you can play the games physically, but based on how you play the games and how you win or lose the game, well, if you lose the game, you're out. Okay, let's just say they win the game, but it's by 4 or 5 points or 6 points or something like that. Everyone comes out flat-footed. They're playing from behind. They maybe come back and make it a tight game going into halftime. I'm trying to just predict what's going to happen, what's been happening to these mid-tier, mid-level teams. Then you fight and make a case for yourselves going into the second half. Maybe you pull away, get up 5, 6 points. They crawl back, get within 2. And then you pull away and win by 8. Okay, if I see that, then they're done. I don't even need to watch a second round because they're not ready to play postseason basketball. Tell you what else I'm going to be looking at. I'm looking at the players that haven't really experienced this yet. They haven't really felt this before. Okay, now Kurt Tang was on the team, but he wasn't playing at any major capacity like he is this year. So he's a player I'm going to be watching really close. I'm going to be watching Cohen Carr. I'm going to be watching Cam Ward real close. He showed some shakiness down the stretch in the regular season. Okay, Trey Fort really has to play well. And I'm expecting on my upperclassmen to really play well. That means Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler have to play exceptional. And then their leader. Jeremy Fears has been around this team for a long time. He's essentially a veteran at this point. We got to see a great deal of leadership from Jeremy Fears. If we don't, then everybody's in trouble. He's got to set the tone for everybody. So that's what's got to happen. Period. End of story. We know what we have to see. We know what we want to see. Okay? And watching Izzo all these years, we know what he expects to see. He expects to see greatness. He expects to breed greatness. He expects to see players play. And he expects them to do the best they can when they touch the floor. He wants to get every ounce of juice out of these players as he can. Let's just imagine that they were an orange. He wants to get every drop of juice out of them as possible. That means every ounce of effort, especially in the postseason. But from game 1 all the way to the last game of the regular season going into the conference tournament, it's all preparation for this. This is when it matters. Okay, now we've seen some great Michigan State teams playing in the postseason in years past. We're expecting to see a lot more of the same. And we wait anxiously for this time of year as Michigan State fans, as alumni. But I guess, would you rather be in a state of, I hope we do well, I hope we come out ready to play, or would you rather be in a state of, we have to play well, we have to do great? Because we've seen it. And then get let down, lose, get bounced first round, second round. I guess, given the fact if you get bounced first or second round, which is terrible no matter what, unless you're 11 through 16 low seed, then it's going to be heartbreaking, regardless of what your expectations were. But I would like to say that I would expect You'd like to expect the best. You'd like to go in expecting the best, and then if you get your hearts broken, you get your hearts broken. But if you go in uncertain, that's when things could go wrong. And that's when you're sitting on pins and needles every single game. You don't want to be there either. All right, let's move forward. So we're going to go through the bracket. We're going to talk about the bracket. We're going to talk about the matchups. But listen, you can only be so much of a guru at this point in the season. Because let's be honest, even Joe Lunardi usually gets screwed on his bracket. And I picked the winner last year. I picked the Florida Gators. Okay? And the reality is, in my other bracket, I have the UConn Huskies. They had a great team last year. And they got bounced by the Florida Gators. UConn should have won that game. Okay? Florida stole that game away from the UConn Huskies. And that's just the facts. Okay, so let's start out here in the East. Now, you could get on your high horse and say, oh, maybe Siena is going to bounce Duke in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen, so we're going to pick the Blue Devils. Now, when you get anywhere from your 6 to the 10 seeds, basically they could be pick'em games. So you don't want to get lost in the sauce here. I really liked how Ohio State played against Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. They easily could have beat them. But also TCU is coming back and really fighting some demons as they have all year. So this is a pick'em game. I like how Ohio State played against Michigan, so I'm going to pick them. St. John's, that's a no-brainer against Northern Iowa. I mean, after seeing St. John's win the Big East, I think they could beat anybody. Really, I do. Now, will they? Can they? I don't have that information yet. Okay. Let's go with Kansas against California Baptist. Then we got Louisville, South Florida. Now, this is a big upset. People are picking USF to win this game. I'm going to do the same. Now, we can hope and pray and hope, but we're going to expect Michigan State to win against North Dakota State. Okay, then we're got to take UCLA because of how they played Michigan State. You got to look at the previous matchups with the personnel that they have. Okay, now Tyler Bilodeau being out, is he coming back? Is he not? We don't know. But UCLA, how they beat Michigan State and held that lead and finished that game and made the threes in the moments they had to, those are the intangibles you got to be focusing on. That's what you got to look at. Fighting from behind was Michigan State. UCLA was basically holding their head below the water and saying, no, you're not coming back into this game. You can get within 2, but you're not coming back into this game. We got to pick UConn here just because. All right? Now, I know people are picking Furman to beat UConn. Maybe it happens. Maybe it does. I can't do it for the sake of everything that we're doing here on this podcast. We're making a solid bracket. Yes, there will be upsets, but that's just not the one we're going to pick. Okay? Florida over Prairie View. Now we got Clemson and Iowa. Give me Iowa in this game. Give me the Hawkeyes. And you got Vanderbilt and McNeese. I'll tell you this. I picked McNeese to go deep. I think I had them going to the Sweet 16 last year. And they lost the first round. I think it was against Gonzaga or somebody. I'll never make that mistake again. Even if McNeese goes and wins it all, I will not pick them ever again. They're on my eternal shit list. Okay? Now, with Vanderbilt doing what they did and winning the SEC, that was a sight to behold. And we didn't even talk about the SEC, but for them to beat Florida, the reigning champions of the NCAA Division I men's basketball, conference and league, the entire league. For them to beat the Florida Gators 91-74, damn. All you can say is damn. Because that means they can win against anybody. And damn, that might just be the best part about this tournament. So give me Vanderbilt. Give me Nebraska. North Carolina, VCU. That's a tough pick. I got to be honest with you. North Carolina's been very shaky. You know what? Give me VCU. Give me Illinois. The Gales against the Aggies of Texas A&M. Now the 7-10s, those could be pick'em games. Give me the Gales. Give me Houston. Come on now, give me the Wildcats. Utah State, Villanova. Give me Utah State. Give me Wisconsin. Arkansas has been playing hot. Now this is going to be a great game. If we get Wisconsin, Arkansas in the round of 32, that's going to be a great game. Now, for those of you listening to this podcast via audio, I highly suggest you go to the video version because you can visualize what I'm doing on the screen, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to understand. But if you're listening to the audio, bear with me. I'll still make it work. Okay, BYU and Texas. Texas probably shouldn't have beat NC State. Let's just be honest. Give me BYU. I don't think they gather another game. Give me the Zags. Miami and Purdue. Do you think Michigan could lose to Howard? Damn, that'd be something, wouldn't it? Georgia versus St. Louis. You know what? Give me St. Louis. Akron and Texas Tech. That could be an upset. Right there. We might rewind the tape and have to look back at that one. Alabama, Texas Tech in the round of 32. Now, I think if we're looking at this correctly, Miami, Ohio is just barely above, barely winning against SMU as we speak. Playing against the Vols as a 6th seed. You know what? Let's keep the Cinderella story going, huh? Take Tennessee out in the first round. Then I love Virginia. I think the road ends for Miami in the round of 32 because I think Virginia wins against them. They'd have more skill. But Miami, Ohio has the perimeter shooting, so shooting can kill, especially if you're shooting threes and you're lighting the boards up. Shooting can kill. Okay, give me Santa Clara as the upset against the 7 seed Kentucky, and give me Iowa State. So that completes our round of 64. Now we're creating this in real time. This bracket will be used. In competition. Okay, I think Duke wins against Ohio State. Give me St. John's over Kansas, though, and this could be a hell of a game, St. John's and Duke. I just might take St. John's to win in the Sweet 16 against Duke. Give me the Spartans. Now, this is a tough pick. Right here. UConn or UCLA? Give me UCLA because I know they're a solid team. I know they're damn good. And they can do it. Jacob Thon, my brother. Glad to see you in the chat. Took Santa Clara as well. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I really do. I like Santa Clara. It's one of those teams where I think they're up here in the top right, I think, or bottom right. Yeah, Kentucky. That's a good 10v7 seed upset. That's easy to pick. Kentucky's been struggling all year. You can look back at the beginning of the year. They've been struggling ever since. I think that's a game that they can win. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could see how St. John's played and how they dominated UConn. That's really why I got UCLA over UConn, because of how they played against State and how UConn got demolished by St. John's. And this is the thing too. This is where it's tough to differentiate, because you can say, "Oh, they played them and then they play like shit the next game." Not every game is created equal, but those intangibles that were present in that game, along with the stats, the quantitative stats, you can't disregard those. Those exist. Those happened. Those happened in a real competition. And a competition that wasn't as on a big of a stage as this. So take that into account. These things can't be downplayed. Okay, moving on. We're still down here, round of 32. Florida and Iowa. Got to take Florida there. Vanderbilt, you got that rematch, SEC championship here in the Sweet 16. Vandy in Florida. Try to pick who I'm going to take in that one. Just because the differential is too big. It's not like you're winning by a couple points. It's not like you're squeezing out a victory. Okay, you're looking at the St. John's win. You're looking at the Vanderbilt over Florida win. These aren't small margins. These are major discrepancies. Okay, now I got to take Illinois. St. Mary's and Houston, this could be a good game. I think Houston pulls this one away. Then you got a great game in the Sweet 16. Yes, Jake. We'll get to that. We'll get to that right now. So we got Arizona, Utah State. Got to take Arizona there. As much as we'd like to see upsets happen, we got to get in touch with the reality at the same time. I'd love to play in La La Land. I could do it all day long. But we got to take Arizona against Utah State. It's just men against boys. And I could be wrong. I'd love to. I would love to be wrong. But we're going to take the Wildcats. Okay, Wisconsin, Arkansas. Now, everybody knows I love Cal, Coach Cal. I love him. He's been playing great. Now, Arkansas is a team that has dominated as of late. And they're a team that can get it done on any given night. Okay, but to see them barely squeak a win away against the Cinderella story team of Ole Miss by 3 points in overtime, that's a little bit concerning to me. When you got a very poised, you got a team that's talking a lot of shit, but it's getting under people's skin in the Wisconsin Badgers. I got to take Wisconsin. I got to take them because I like what I'm seeing from them as a unit. Just a little bit more. They have it more complete. Greg Gard has his team where he wants them to be. So we're going to take Wisconsin in that game. And see, the thing is, if we break it down from a fundamental standpoint, if we break these things down from a fundamental standpoint like we're doing, then if we get our hearts broken, we can point to the facts and be like, well, that's why we picked that. Now, it's not like we're picking matchups out of a hat. We're not picking dubs out of a hat or losses out of a hat. We're pointing towards the intangibles. We're pointing towards the box scores, the stat sheets, the differentials in games that matter on big stages. That's what we're looking at. And absolutely right, Jake. Greg Gard's boys are physical. And they talk a lot of shit. Can't forget about that. Okay, so moving forward, onward and upward. BYU and the Zags. Now, Gonzaga really hasn't surprised me a whole lot. Now, you're playing out west in the WCC. You could say they really don't play anybody. Okay, you could really say they don't play anybody. Well, I'm not going to say they're a team to snooze on, but neither is Brigham Young University. So we can't forget about them. This is essentially a pick 'em game. You close your eyes and pick one. We'll go with the higher seed here in Gonzaga. Give me the Zags against Brigham Young. And then Miami against Purdue. Purdue coming off a big win against the first ranked team in the Big Ten, Michigan, against Miami. Miami's solid, though. We're going to pick Miami. People aren't going to like it. I know a lot of people that are taking Purdue to win and go deep. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's going to be the one thing that shatters my Achilles and it tears my Achilles heel, and I'm out for the season. Let it be done. Let it be done. Like I said earlier, Purdue is one of the most hated teams in the Big Ten, and I stand by that. Hey, Jake, off topic, but are you staying up for London tonight? I got to know. Let me know in the comments. Okay, moving on. Michigan, St. Louis. Give me Michigan. Give me Michigan. Okay, we got it. We got to take them. And then the Nate Oaks team of Alabama and the Crimson Tide against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's a tough one. It's a pick'em game. It's a pick'em game. I like where Nate Oaks' team is at right now. So people are going to hate this pick, but I'm going to take Alabama. I'm going to take Alabama. And that's going to be a dogfight. Alabama-Michigan. If we get that game in the Sweet 16, that's going to be a dogfight. Okay. Give me Virginia against Miami, Ohio. They're going to beat SMU. They just beat them by 10. So that's going to be Miami. We're feeling pretty good about this bracket. Okay? All right, I got to give a shout out to my brothers that trade about my question about London. Yes, staying up, hoping for strong USD continuation. Also, EG right now needed to sell shorts. Awesome, buddy. I'll see you in the Discord. I'm gonna stay up for a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna stay up that late, but stay in touch with me. I got some trades out and float right now, so I'll let you know about those. Okay. Moving on. This is gonna be a long show, but listen, we're talking the eve. We're talking the eve of March Madness. This is a big deal. Also, Jake, I got to get my bracket into your pool, so I'll do that. I'll do that before I go to bed. But we'll be talking. All right, Santa Clara, Iowa State, and the Cyclones. I got to take Iowa State. Because they're a solid team. They know that they're a solid team, and it might have just been a fluke. Okay, it might have been a fluke. But they've dealt with some hardship as of late, and it is what it is. Listen, there's a lot of guesswork in this. That's why there's never been a perfect bracket, because there's a lot of guesswork. You got to talk yourself into stuff, and it's you got to hype yourself up a little bit. All right, give me St. John's against Duke, over Duke. Okay, the 5 seed taking down the 1 seed. I love where Rick Pitino's got this team right now. I love it. I really do. They're in a great spot. They're in a really great spot. Okay, Jake. Sounds good. Copy that. They're in a great spot right now. The Red Storm, they're doing great things. They're dominating the hardwood. They're beating everybody, every single team they come across in games that matter. So I like where they're at. Give me Michigan State in the rematch. I hope they learn their lesson. Okay, and if I'm wrong, this is a hill I will die on. If you haven't met me yet, if you haven't had a conversation with me yet about Michigan State basketball, I, honest to God, don't care about any team in any sport more than the Michigan State Spartans basketball team. And that's the truth. And it's a hill I will die on gladly and have died on and came back. It's been done. Okay, Florida and Vandy. You know who I'm taking. I'm taking Vanderbilt again because I think they can do it. Okay, now Illinois, they lost a big game to Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament. I think they lose their heads too easily. I don't think they have the mental game that they should have. And they can't back it up with the on-floor play, even if they have a bunch of players from overseas in Croatia and Slovakia. Got to take Houston because of the mental state. Okay, we're feeling good about this bracket. The bracket's coming together pretty good. Okay, Wisconsin, Arizona. Now, we talked about Greg Gard. We talked about the shit that can be talked by a Wisconsin Badgers team. We talked about the fact that they beat Michigan State. They beat Michigan. Okay, and we've seen Arizona lose. We've seen them lose games. It's been argued that they've fixed those errors. They've patched up those holes in their team that have been evident, that have been glaringly obvious as of late. But we're going to take Wisconsin because we want to ruffle the feathers of all the naysayers. Okay, Gonzaga, Miami. Give me Miami. I think Miami's going to make a deep run this year. I really do. And they're a really solid team. People sleep on them. People think they're not a big deal. I would beg to differ on it. I really would. Okay, Michigan, Alabama. I love Nate Oakes. Give me Alabama. Sweet home Alabama, baby. Now this is a pick'em game. Give me Iowa State. Now, if you notice, there's no 1 seeds left. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, so we'll start from down low at this point. Alabama, Iowa State. Give me Iowa State. I think Houston's I don't know what to pick here. I really don't. We'll save that one for last. We'll leave it as is, though. I think St. John's beats Michigan State. I really do. As much as it kills me. And that's when I really hope I'm wrong. That's when I'm really hoping I'm wrong. All right. Okay. Wisconsin and Miami. Now, Wisconsin's a team that I will. It's a team on a hill that I will die on. That has to be understood. They are a great team. All right, now we got St. John's and Houston against Wisconsin, Iowa State. I really like Vanderbilt. I really, really like Vanderbilt. But you got to ask yourselves, can they go all the way? I think Iowa State beats Wisconsin. I really do. We got to do it. We got to do it. We're going to give it to, who do we give it to? It's a toughie. I mean, you see these big teams that lost. Now if you look at this, most of my upsets are in the meat. They're in the patty of the bracket. Now we're going to go Iowa State. But it's a pick'em. It's a pick'em series. Now we pick Vanderbilt. Into the Final Four. I just don't think Houston's done it. They've been choke artists. It's going to be a team that is going to rise to the top. The cream of the crop will rise to the top. That's what we're expecting to see. We love this bracket. Okay, we got Iowa State and the Cyclones winning it all. Now they've faced some hardship. They faced some real hardship. But I think they could do it. Now this is my only bracket. There's brackets that I will choose to run with, that I will live with, die with. And in a matter of hours, this wall to my left will be full of brackets that will be tracked and will be looked at closely. We'll be looking at the intangibles. We'll be checking in on all these matchups. We'll be looking at the players and teams and situations that we should be expecting. We're going to see those nail-biter finishes that are bound to happen. They happen every single year. Probably be more than one tomorrow. So that's what we're looking forward to. That's what we're dialed into. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So we're going to submit that bracket. Iowa State and the Cyclones. We got St. John's, Vandy, Wisconsin, Iowa State in the Final Four. I mean, that's a hell of a Final Four. Hell of a Final Four. Okay? And if I do say so myself, Damn, that is a hell of a Final Four, hell of a bracket. But see how we take those matchups, we really piecemeal them. We look at them from a bird's eye view, which I like to do with a lot of things, if you didn't notice. And we figure it out. We talk ourselves into it. We talk ourselves out of stuff. We talk to ourselves, oh, well, they did this against this team. Oh, well, this team, they're just not built for it. These things are known. These things are facts. Now, facts are our friends, but at the same time, past results do not guarantee future performance. So these results, even the intangibles, must be taken into account with a grain of salt. So I will leave it at that. I've far overstayed my welcome tonight. Last but not least, the Gin Sports Network Challenge 7 is June 6, 2026. Thank you to everybody that's sponsored. This event is presented by Tri-County Roofing, our presenting sponsor of the 2026 edition of the GSNC. Thank you so much to Tri-County Roofing. They've been a great sponsor for us in years past and continue to do a great job for the community of Genesee County, Flushing, and surrounding areas. So we thank them very much for their participation yet again in the GSNC 7. If you haven't been registered, haven't got registered, haven't played in it yet, make sure to navigate to our website in the top left of your screen, ginsportsnetwork.com, and navigate to the GSNC tab and get registered immediately. Plenty of spots still available. The tournament is just less than 3 months away, but it's going to creep up on us fast. And I know weekends in the summer get busy, so get registered, get locked in to take part in the two-man event of the summer. We'd love to see you out there at Briar Ridge, June 6, 2026. All right. If you haven't joined the bracket, do it. Get to my Facebook profile, figure it out, get in there, get locked in for the Jacob Smith Health Journey bracket for a great cause. It's a 50-50 bracket, so we'd love to see you guys in there. Participate and partake for a great cause and have some fun doing it. Make sure to check us out on our website at ginsportsnetwork.com for all updates. Find us on IG at ginsportsnetwork and at gincollege. Find me on IG and Twitter at gincommish. Tweet me and shout me out. We'll have a good conversation, I'm sure of it, and we'll carry it on there. Thank you guys again so much for tuning into this episode of the Gin College Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II. Have a great night.